Welcome everybody to this third governance meeting of the Community Currency Alliance. Very happy to see so many here once again. Initially, it would be nice for just a very small introduction from who is in this call. I guess most of you don't know who anyone is, and I know like who some of you are. Very briefly, my name is Gustav. I come from Denmark. Right now, I'm on a lovely holiday. I'm in Torino right now, and I'm kind of full-time on the Community Currency Alliance right now. And created this collaboration with Julio. On my screen, I just see you, Leander, so I'm going to give the mic to you.
Hello, I'm Leander. I'm currently not very active on currencies, but I have been for the last 10 years. And there were a few interactions with Gustav over the last few weeks where I thought I'll check in here to see how concrete a few of those are and to get my bearings on how, if and where and how to contribute.
And I'm just going to be the dictator and say I give the mic to Cecilia.
Hi, I'm Cecilia Smith-Christensen. I'm based in Oslo, Norway. And I am doing a PhD. We're looking into, well, exploring how complementary currencies could support World Heritage communities in the resilience. So it's part of my PhD, and so this is a fragment of what I'm doing in my normal work. So.
Thank you, Cecily. I see Andrew is here. You just unmuted, but I'm very stoked to hear from you also. I saw some of your messages. I can't hear you, Andrew Honsava.
Yes, 1 second.
Yeah.
Can you see me? Yeah, because it was very dark. I changed table.
Everything works now.
Okay, I'm Andrew Honzawa. I've been a practitioner and consultant of complementary last 9-10 years already in European projects, mostly here in Catalonia, where I am from. And I am currently affiliated with the Coin Foundation and at the University of Girona.
Thank you, Andrew. Griff Green, nice to see you here.
Pleasure as always. Yeah, I help Gustav to host the CCA calls, and I'm working with. My name is Griff Green, and I'm working on the Common Stack, which is trying to do very targeted types of community currencies, you could say, for funding public goods in a sustainable way, basically creating economies around the value that's created by nonprofit causes.
Thanks a lot, Griff. Hi, Teodoro. Nice to see you.
Hello, I'm Teodoro. I'm doing PhD in network science with a curriculum in economic network analysis at Central European University in Vienna, currently in Vienna. And of course my research is mainly focused on quantitative analysis of community currency systems, and in particular I started to analyze Sarafo network, and hopefully I will analyze also the Sardex network. And for the moment that's it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Teodoro. I just for your annotation, I put the cost under the agenda too, and I hope you can say a few words on this. I know you're writing about it all the time, and it's complicated to understand, but still, it's a good opportunity also for some of the other researchers here. Julio, hello.
Hello, everybody. My name is Julio. I'm from Guatemala, right now based in Berlin. I work on a project called Circles UBI, trying to implement a basic income currency system here in Berlin, Brandenburg area, and Germany in general, looking at ways of making pilots, researching their effects. I'm by profession an economic anthropologist, trying to study what we call the human economy. I'm part of the Basic Income Earth Network. I do social outreach work for the network. And by the way, this week is Basic Income Week, and we have marches happening all over the world in different cities where it's possible due to Corona. Berlin is one of them, happening on Saturday from 12 a.m. So yeah, exciting times for Basic Income.
Thank you, Julio, and I hope you will say a little bit words about the Freiburg Institute in the beginning also. I put that under the orientation from the update from our visit to Freiburg last week. But now I will give the mic to Jessica, our most active agenda contributor. You have put a lot in there, I see. That's very nice. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, good morning, Gustav. Good morning, everybody. I am a tech anthropologist, journalist, researcher, and I've worn many different hats over the years. I'm primarily working in blockchain technology and crypto for the last 4.5 years. I'm currently kind of a human bridge between many projects at the protocol layer of blockchain technology, working with a project called Virus. I'm also working with the Common Stack and Griff and OneHive, and basically translating and working on the narratives around all of the wonderful projects that everybody's working on, and how we can tell these stories in order to bring about all the things we wish to see in the world. So looking forward to the meeting and developing further on this exciting project. Some wonderful people here and so many people here today.
Thanks a lot, Jessica. Nice to see you made it home from your hike in a good way. And welcome to Will Rudik also. Thanks for a good presentation yesterday. Will, I can also just present you. Will is with Grassroots Economics, the founder of Grassroots Economics.
Hi, guys.
Oh, here you are. I will.
Yeah. Just hi to everybody. Yeah. I said it. Happy to be here.
And finally, last person is Jeff. Hi, Jeff. A few words about what you're doing, please.
Hey all. Also working with the Common Stack with Griff Green and building tools for different community currency initiatives like bonding curves and conviction voting, decentralized governance tools that we hope can be useful to different community currency systems and networks that are already in existence or are in the design process. So happy to be here as well.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. And with that, we can conclude the introduction. If more people arrive, with some people something to do, we're going to have to skip that. We managed to have 10 introductions in around 11 minutes, so quite good, I would say, good pace. Here's the agenda for today. I will call this like orientation, you can also move it. A little bit update from what happened on our visit to the Freiburg from Julio. Teodora a bit about the cost program, and so that's both kind of academic oriented. And then I see, Jessica, you have a bunch of questions and so forth. So I think we can kind of give the mic to you and let you ask your questions and so forth, or proposals. I know you have many of those too. Anyone else have anything else they want to add to the agenda? Then please speak up your mind now.
I just want to say if there's anything that is related to me, I have a conflict in 20 minutes I have to drop off. So just bring it up first.
I think it would be great at some point to hear about the DAF opportunity, just very briefly, what that means. Griff, if you don't mind, I can add that to the agenda. That's like the legal entity kind of thing. Okay, and I can try to prioritize that. Please remind me if you have only 10 minutes to go and then I forget about it. Anyone else has some other agenda points they would like to add? Here. Okay, then maybe Julio, could you tell a little bit about our visit to Freiburg and the proposal they have for setting up this research group on UBI and community currencies, please? I guess not. Well, luckily I was there too, so I can tell about it. So basically it's the Freiburg University, and that's the Freiburg in Germany. And they have set up a new institute, and they are basically interested in Julio, I, and Blanca to organize a research group on the topics of universal basic income and community currencies. And what this means is that if we are able to provide 7 names, which should ideally be weighted between practitioners and researchers. Then they are able to provide us with funding for hosting workshops, hackathons, educational kind of outreach for travel expenses and the like. And we kind of have a free, so to speak, mandate to choose what the research should be within. So it's a bit complementary to what Theodora is going to talk about, but that's basically if any of you are interested in taking part of that. And that can both be if you are an academic or non-academic. You can speak up your mind now, or you can ask more questions, or you can also write more about it. We have the CCA research channel where the proposal that Julio initially wrote, it's just a 2-pager, is in as well. So yeah, that's the very short overview of that topic. Anyone has any questions or comments to that?
Yes. What do they want? I mean, it's I read everything you posted, but I still didn't really get the idea of what they need out of this and how come they would. Well, you also talked about quite high figures, like 50 to 100K. Why would they throw that to people they just met and are not an institution that they can easily contract with? It seems quite high risk, and I haven't really understood what they need to find out through this investment, say.
I think that this figure that Julio put, I should say 50 to 100K, that's the very, very best case. So on your first part, like what they want is, they have set up this, which is not yet an institute officially, it's a competence center. And there is this Professor Neumacher, who is a quite big proponent of UBI. So that's like the base layer. They want to experiment now with basically having some input, because they don't really have a great network in UBI. They don't really have access to a lot of empirical studies. And they want, like I guess most research institutions, they would love to attract some high profile either academics or practitioners. So this is kind of their motivation. For this first step here, we would be, for the 7 names, we would be considered a small work group. And for the small work group, they are not very specific about the budget. I would not expect there would be more than 15K or so at most for that. That is the first step. And for that, they would then like us to come up with specific further proposals. And for those proposals, they have the requirements of budgets and so forth. And then we could say we would like to do this research, we would like to go to visit Will for this, here is the budget, this is our desired outcome, and so forth. So in that sense, what we would start with right now would just be sort of the first journey of setting up this collaboration. And I think for them, they just have the 2 motivations. One of in some sense, they have the purpose of UBI and community currencies. They want to push that forward as individuals. But for the research institute, they want to have, of course, some credit, street credit in the academic field. And they also want to, as I said, have some kind of connection to actually like pilots or like some kind of empirical data.
So the second part, I understand everybody wants the access to the data. But why wouldn't they send their own postdocs or their own PhD master students to actually have?
So that's because they want to actually experiment with this matrix structure. They don't think that just sending academics who are not really that connected always to the reality will provide the desired outcome. They would actually like to have the matrix structure, as we know, invented by Toyota. They would like to have this clash of people like you and me, who probably bring different perspectives. I will maybe say, like, this is the academic way. I don't think that's great. I think we should do this the pragmatic way. And you're going to say, Leander, that's not scientific. We cannot use this data for anything. And I believe if we would collaborate, that would be better in turn. And that's the experiment of this research group.
I'm really surprised. I studied with Professor Neumacher 10 years ago. I didn't click until I looked at the websites when you posted them. But Yeah, I'm still puzzled by this whole proposal, but it's very attractive because Freiburg is very attractive. Had this existed 10 years ago, I would have never left, I guess, but I'm still a bit puzzled, but it's good for now.
And you know it much more than me. I just visited there. I think the background is also the Enno Schmidt is working there, and he's he's actually a practitioner, but who's working at the university now. He was the guy who led the campaign in Switzerland, which led to the referendum on UBI in Switzerland. And then he got this job, but he's saying all the time, this is very bureaucratic, you know, just provide the names. He's kind of the other side of the things. And the reason I basically got in touch is that I know Enno Schmidt from this organization, Mustard Seed Trust, which have also helped CCA at this point. So that's why we got a good introduction from Enno Schmidt. That he said very good things about us, and that's probably why we got this invitation in the first place.
That's a much better answer than the ones before, actually. That makes a whole lot of sense now. And I mean, he would still describe himself as an artist first and foremost, I guess. So, okay, that's a different way. But that might be conflictory within the structure of the university that I knew, but we'll see.
And now we have this on recording, so we're going to see what happens with that. Anyone else have some more questions or comments on this point on the agenda? Otherwise, I would just say, reach out if you have any interest in knowing more or being part of this. How I view it personally is just, we don't have a lot to lose at this stage. We will provide the names. We're going to be this working group. And if they then are going to reject all our proposals, then that's probably where it ends. That's kind of how I see it. There's not a lot to lose. And potentially there's a lot to gain also with the reputation of Freiburg University. And they claim to be wanting to connect us with a lot of resources, not only economic, but also saying, yes, then you will have a fast route to the lab guys. You're going to have fast route to these guys. If that's true, I think we can only find out one way. So with that in mind, I'm gonna go to the next point. I'm gonna squeeze you in there, Griff. This topic that I kind of put in here in the middle of everything was in regards to CCA don't have an official legal entity at the moment. The funding we have received is from a private company that I control right now in Denmark. Sorry, that's how we got into it. And I think this is just a short-term solution to basically receive funding from Mustard Seed Trust. What Julio and I always talked about was that we wanted to have a sort of association foundation framework. And maybe you can talk a little bit about what is a DAF, Griff?
Yeah, sure. So background, Giveth is a project I've been running for 3 years, and it's always been kind of a crypto anarchist donation platform. We never had a legal entity. We just said general partnership, sure, whatever, like we're just donating, money is just being moved around, and it kind of fit our values a little bit more. But then I had always heard about DAFs, which were they're donor advised funds. So basically it's a nonprofit where the donors can actually say where their money goes. So usually when you donate to a foundation or something like that, there's a lot of like legal protections to avoid money laundering and this sort of stuff that say, once you donate to the foundation, the people who run the foundation have to say where the money goes, and the donor loses all say. And a donor advised fund is the exact opposite of that. The donor gets to say exactly where their money goes, and it goes to the organization, and then it goes, and it can still be a tax receipt and a nonprofit, like in the States, it's 501c3. So they still get the donation credit, and they get to say where the money goes. And that's why it's very exciting to me to have found, actually Jess introduced us to this group called the SDG Impact Fund. And they run kind of a DAF of DAFs. So it's a platform, profit platform, where basically you can set it up. It took us 2-3 weeks to do the whole thing and get a 501c3. And that's only because we were going very slow, making plans and trying to understand it. Really, when we filled out the paperwork, which was just putting down our names and some stuff, we had a 501c3 like tax rebate thing number within 48 hours. It was insane. It was so easy and so fast to become a nonprofit in the US. So we are still testing it. The main thing is that you pay 5% in admin fees basically to SDG Impact Fund, and that's kind of what keeps them sustainable. So any donations that go to your DAF, you can say where the money goes, and then yeah, I mean, that's basically it. So donations come in, and then you give 5% to the SDG Impact Fund, and then they can be used, you know, from an American legal entity that's based in Georgia. So I guess the progress is that we are still beta testing this. We did this last week. We got our SDG on September 9th. We got our tax number or whatever. So now we're accepting a donation, which I think is going through today, you know, getting all the accounts set up. And what's really cool with the SDG Impact Fund is they will accept crypto, they will accept land, they will accept anything, any kind of financial asset, stock, and you pay the 5% on the money that comes in. So if you say, if you accept, you know, $10,000 worth of Ether, you pay 5% when the money goes in. They can hold the Ether, and if the Ether goes up in value, you retain all of that profit, and you can actually, as a nonprofit, do a lot of interesting investment things that normally I've seen be very difficult with other legal structures. So it's just a very, very free and open, innovative structure to use. And we're beta testing it. We're going to try to make some payments to contractors this week and next week, and we'll take a couple extra donations. And if it works out well, people can, we can assist people in setting up DAFs for themselves, and then everyone can have a 501c3. And in the end, Giveth hopes to create DAOs that are like kind of like how Open Law has done this, where you can start an Oregon DAO and then click a button and start a Delaware LLC all online, and have the DAO structure be connected to that. We want to do something similar with this DAF structure and nonprofits for DAOs. But that's long term. Right now, we're just trying to, you know, see if we can make some payments. And in the short term, if CCA has something that, some money that they need to receive, we can do it through the Giveth DAF. It's not like Giveth is going to take a cut or anything. We have to give 5% to that. If you need a short-term legal solution, we can also help out.
Okay, Griff, thanks a lot. Anyone has some questions? Or, sorry,
just
Jessica?
one note on governance. You can basically, on the DAF as well, the governance is completely open. All you have to do is write a charter or a contract dictating the governance structure. So it could be, you know, 2 people, 7 people, 100 people. You can basically create a charter. And before any money is released from any accounts, they make sure that it's got, you know, say you have multiple signatories or something like this, you can basically do almost like an escrow, but it's more about the governance layer. So it's open and customizable. You just write a charter.
Thanks for that comment, Jessica. Anyone has some comments or questions on this complicated DAF legal setup? Personally, I can just share my thoughts would be like 5% fees. Okay, that's probably acceptable. It takes, I know it takes quite a lot of effort to get this tax deductible status in America. What my biggest fear would be is that suddenly we would be blocked, and we would, because we were kind of in the realm of another organization, could, you know, suddenly lose control in some kind of manner. And yeah, I don't know if you have any feedback on that, Griff.
Yeah, I because we haven't used money and gone through the process, I can neither confirm nor deny. However, the organization's been around for 12 years. They seem to be pretty legit, and there is some sort of like structure where they hold the money, but they have to do what we say with the money. So there's these donor advisors, and the donor advisors have supposedly complete control of where the money goes. And then the SDG Impact Fund kind of acts as administrative accountant, like gatekeepers to make sure that like there are some limitations on what you can do with the money. For instance, you can't just give it to a person. You can't reimburse expenses. Like if someone else buys something and has a receipt, you can't reimburse them. That was like that was the only common thing I saw that would be a problem. But if they, for instance, say, hey, I need to buy a plane ticket, SDG Impact Fund can actually buy the plane ticket for you. So you're basically paying them to be your administrative nonprofit administration. Anyway, that's the story.
Yeah, we could do that from Coin Foundation, I guess. We can negotiate or talk about it. Coin is based in the Netherlands, and I'm a member, and I could broker an agreement. I don't know. It's a possibility, but I'm not necessarily pushing for it. But just mention it's offering as an option.
I have to run, guys. I'm sorry. Thank you, though.
No problem, Griff. Thanks for joining, and have a nice day. I'm gonna add this on the agenda and the next step to kind of, and you can share my screen here. I'm taking the liberty to I would say more like research and map. I'm gonna create a GitHub issue of this, research and map the options for legal setup. It's something I don't understand well enough myself, and if anyone wants to join on this and have inputs to what should CCA be, should it never be a legal entity? Should we do a association ourselves in whatever country or foundation or something else? Then please reach out. I'm gonna put the notes in the end of this call and also gonna soon set up the GitHub issue. Of course, this takes a lot of consideration. I can just share with you on this topic other options that we have kind of at the moment is, for example, the charity Mustard Seed that's registered in England that have provided the 15,000 euro seed funding for the CCA at this moment. We could have that as a fiscal sponsor. There is Julio is making for the Circle to BI Genossenschaft in association in Germany, but that's maybe also mixed to have. Yeah, if anyone you have any interest in taking part in this, please let us know. Or anyone has final comments or topics on this? Oh, sorry, on notes on this specific point. Otherwise, I will move to the next. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Julio.
Yeah, just my internet fell for some reason, so I'm sorry I lost the beginning part. It was strange. On the last point, I think it's important to make sure that the CCA itself is some sort of neutral entity, independent of other projects or currencies. For example, I work on Circle GBI, but I also don't want to like dominate the CCA in that way. Like I think it should be a space for pluralism of currencies and so on. So on that spirit, I think it's important to figure out a legal entity, a foundation, whatever, that sort of keeps that in mind, so we can have sort of more broad and encompassing framework.
Okay, yeah, I see your internet is still not super stable, Julio, but I get your point that CCA needs to be independent and not be its kind of legitimacy has not to be questioned and so forth. I think that's a good point. Now I think I'm going to give the mic to you, Theodora, about the cost program. It gets more and more complicated. I would love if you could try to help us understand it.
Yeah, hello everybody. Yeah, it's really complicated indeed, and I'm sorry if I confused you guys, but I'm confused too. So basically, what is cost? The cost is European organization that is connected to European institutions, and the main purpose of the cost is to create a network of researchers. I can send you here the link, so if we need more information. And basically, I was contacted by the National Research Council in Italy, that is really willing to launch a cost action on community currency systems. And what that means that basically there will be a group of a core of organizations involved in this research field that will propose a cost action. So we'll work on the proposal, and they will appear as proponents, as official proponents. So so yeah, basically I have the main update I have about this is that next week I'm going to finally talk with them, and also with Georgina from Ramix, and with Karina from the Alternative Economic and Monetary School in Vienna. And I will discuss with them. I will try to understand also better the requirements, because here I can copy and paste some of the requirements if you want, but the requirements are very, very strict. And this morning I had a meeting with one of the collaborators in the CNR, and the solution that they suggest me so far is to of people who are interested in taking part of a cost action. I can send you here the link in the chat. I already added some of you, but yeah, please just mind about the requirements, because the requirements are really strict. So it's good if you put your name in this list, or you can write me privately in Telegram, or yeah, or I can write you my email here. And if you want to take part of the cost, and then of course the last decision will be done by mainly by the bureaucrats of the CNR, because they need to understand how balanced is the partnership, which kind of which kind of people we can include at this early stage, because the problem is the early stage. The problem is to get approved this cost action that will last for 4 years, because after the first approval, maybe we will be more free to, for example, organize some workshop to any organization that is not necessarily strictly academic. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Theodora. Is it a fair interpretation to say for the next steps, if you're interested in taking part in this first round, you add yourself to the document that you have uploaded. I also copied it now. And the other thing would be to take part in this call. And I think you're going to announce in the CCA research channel the specific time and so forth for the call. Is that a fair interpretation for the next steps?
So sorry, you said which call?
Like you said that there will be some kind of specific call on this, like a cost for the first selected participants.
Yes, yes, there will be a first call, but the first call is just will be just to understand also from my side the requirements. So it would be just between me and them. So
and do you know when this is happening?
No, not yet.
Okay. But you're gonna inform about that in the CCA channel.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have an internal work deadline for this right now? Or like when should the first batch of? Okay.
No, but by the end of next week we need to fix this first meeting. But yeah, it will be just a meeting. Yeah, where we would try to understand better the requirements and how to move forward. And of course, like I will talk about CCA, and I will show this list also to them.
Okay. Anyone has some more questions or feedback on this at this point? Otherwise, I would just say thanks a lot for bringing this up, Theodora. And I know already you have managed to attract a few people, perhaps from this greater community. So that's very nice. And if that's the case, then sorry, Will.
Just Theodore, would you send that out as an email to me? Thank you.
What do you want to have as an email?
Everything he's talking about.
Like the link for the cost program?
Hmm.
I don't know, Theodora, do you want to do that?
Yeah, I can send information about the cost action, yeah.
Okay. I think it would be, but is there something with the EU countries, or is there no problem participating with Kenya, right? Or is it just the researchers have to be located within an EU country and just one per country?
No. Unfortunately, it's just European countries, and not even all of them. So it's really restricted from this point of view.
I can be research in Copenhagen and I can do a field study in Kenya, right?
Yeah, from this point of view, yeah, you can. But in any case, whatever you want to organize must be in Europe.
Okay, I see. Okay. In that case, Jessica, I think it's time to start on some of your agenda points. And I can just share my screen here again so you can see. You asked about accelerator grant allocation. How will it happen? Could you, what do you want to know, Jessica?
Oh yeah, how and when will it happen? And do we need to communicate with the community about it or provide any updates along with some future plans updates?
So it already has happened for some of the grants, for example, for Emin and Brett. We are in the process of paying it out. Basically, the process is sending invoice information, and then it's paid out. And then basically agreeing on deliverables. And I think, for example, in your case, it would be about agree with Julio and Brett Scott on the kind of communication deliverables. And when you three agree on that, then you finally get, manage to get in the call, the three of you, then you can send me or Julio the invoice information. I can also like send you a template, and that's how it basically is, like the transfer of funds is taking place.
Okay, great. And yeah, I was just wondering if we should, communicate transparently with the community about those deliverables and plans, maybe in the forum or.
I think that's a great idea, definitely. I know how GIFF does it with the GIFF milestones and so forth, but like how we could also just be like a comment in the forum saying like, what did I do? Or like, what are the deliverables? Yeah, I think that's a good idea to have some kind of more transparent overview of that.
Okay, great. We'll do that.
Is there something you want to set up in a way or like propose?
No, I'm fine with, I think just we can provide an update maybe in the forum or like a conversation under that same thread, just saying, we allocated, I think you had an announcement of allocation, and then we can just follow up with these are the deliverables for each grant that was given, and then we can follow up when the tasks are all complete or whatnot. Just would be great to have some transparent tracking. So I think the forum is probably the right place for that.
And in a sense, of course, it's kind of pseudo tracking because it's not going to be crypto funds. It's going to be legal fiat, and as we know, that's not transparent at all. But still, we can write it that way. Otherwise, what I had in mind initially was to basically just do some kind of demo day where each of the grants would kind of show, what have they done and so forth. And in that way, we could kind of see the result as it was sort of accelerator. We have a fixed, let's say 3 months, and then there will be a demo day, and there we show the results that has kind of happened. Like, do you think that makes sense?
Yeah, perfect.
Habría que ir saliendo en un cuarto de hora.
Okay.
Así que ahora empezar.
I'm gonna at that note too. Do you want to like the next thing about the GitCon grant and fundraising and so forth?
Sure, I'm just bringing.
I think you are muted.
Oh, okay. I said this is just for general discussion, most of these next points. In reference to GitCoin grant and fundraising, just because we're on the phone together now, I'm happy to support if you want to do a 20 to 30 minute work session to edit the GitCoin grant submission and look at a few improvements there. And then just bring it up for general discussion if there's anything else we need to move forward on or that we can support with the grant efforts.
I think that would be super helpful also to get it up on the conviction voting and the PAN tokens and all that stuff. If you want, we can do, you and me and whoever wants can do that right after this call.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay. Awesome.
And then,
I'm sorry, it's just a bit of a 2-on-2 conversation. Well, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for
if
bringing all
anyone
this
else
up.
wants to join, you're welcome. And then, yeah, the same for the comms. I know Brett was quite busy, but just, you know, moving forward and setting up that call and getting some things going. Also, I wanted to mention that I will be starting today the survey results blog, at least, you know, a rough draft that we can all kind of work on together. But I will try to go in and look more deeply at the results, and perhaps I was thinking of representing in, I don't know, a little graphic or something. So I'll see what comes out, but just wanted to let you know I got the permissions and I will start hacking on it today.
Okay, that's on the, what was this on the survey or was on the, yeah? Okay.
The survey.
Well, did you like this idea about this creating this dashboard from the Google form? Or you think we should just do like a, like you said, video or blog post? Like what's the easiest way to do that, you think?
I have to kind of dig into it more. The permissions came like later yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to go back in and dig into it since I got the permissions. So I'll ping you if I have any questions, and I'll think about that as what is the best representation once I dig into it. I was even thinking maybe an infographic even could be better. We'll see. I want to see what it looks like in there.
Okay, super. I feel like now we are getting very, it's like it's only you and me in this call, and does anyone else have some questions on those topics here, or they have like some other thoughts in this direction, then please let us know. For example, I could understand if Cecilia or Leander is like, what is going on? Because you have not joined these kind of calls before, but this is, just to explain, this governance call is kind of the global coordination of all the stuff we're doing in CCA. Today was a lot about the research, and Jessica and I are mainly doing the communication part of CCA. So that's why we are thinking of those things. Any comments or feedback or other line of thoughts on these questions? And hi, Brett Scott, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Even better, you're here now, doing great.
Yeah, sorry, I came late.
Yeah, I mean, you came. That's the important thing. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see what's happening.
Yeah, so we are going through this long list of agenda items, and specifically the last ones here are Jessica. And Jessica, you had some other things. There was like automatic roundtable guest, maybe. That was the topic Julio brought up also. Like for this community currencies now series, I believe we have had 9 calls now. And we started the first with 3 projects. We found out that's way too much. So we have had 2 projects in each of them. And we have sort of not done it in a very smart way. We have basically just every 2 weeks, we're like, oh, who's going to be the next guest? And then we have asked people, and we have winged it that way, basically. And this has become exhausting from Julio. It's not a transparent process. And yeah, I know you have done proposals on this in the past, Jessica. Like, how do you think we should do that the smartest way to get the guest for this community currencies now show?
Yeah, I was thinking initially we can just set up a Google form with a spreadsheet collection for submissions and put it out on Twitter and encourage community members to put it out in their networks. And then I think a second to actually make this governance call a governance call or give people some governance, we could do just like, you know, a vote or something on the guests or I don't know, but yeah, at least a Google form and make it a bit more automated and have some tracking on the back end. And I could, you know, we could develop a schedule. We could reach out to people and start scheduling a bit more in advance. And yeah, it could be fun to make some vote around it, but I think, you know, not necessary.
Okay, so doing a Google form basically, you say. Anyone has some other ideas? Like, also if anyone has feedback, I think it's good to reflect on, like, now we have done every 2 weeks, soon we're gonna hit this 10 call milestones, and is this really the right, and I know some of you have been guests already, is this really the right kind of content way to do it, or like, are there other ways we should do content and so forth? It's also, if any of you have any feedback or ideas on that, that would also be great, I think, because
Yeah, maybe some feedback on like what kind of guests would people like to see, what topics would they like to be addressed. Maybe we could do another little survey form to collect that input. But for now, yeah, I would love to hear from everybody here how to develop that. Maybe on the format, is it working? Is it good?
You have stats on how many watches there are right now, that kind of thing. How's it?
Yeah, there's YouTube analytics on the back end. I haven't looked at the YouTube analytics. I don't know if you have, Gus, but that's definitely a good place to start.
I haven't looked at this on the structured way, no. I have access to it, but I haven't done that, so I guess that's a good starting point. I have just been looking at the number of views. I think still is the first episode that had most. That's, if I remember correctly, around 500 views now. So not a lot, but still something for such a niche video. And it has a bit random how many views some have got. Some guests have been better promoting themselves also. It's obviously that if I promote it, I don't have many followers, Twitter, versus if you send it out, Brett, for example, you have much more followers. And I think there have been some correlations there, but I haven't dug into the analytics. I can definitely, we can have a session together where I can share my screen, or I can try to get you access. This is through the comment stack. Maybe you have access, Jessica, I don't know, or Jeff has, or I can do screenshots, but I guess that's the right way to do it, is the data-driven way in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the initial ones, which are kind of a bit more unstructured, can be test versions, you know, so, and then maybe something like more slick or kind of produced can come out later with the sort of segment,
yeah, for sure,
calls and stuff like that.
We could talk about some post-production work on it, or you know, a repeatable format instead of it just being open dialogue for an hour. It could be a little more structured, where we ask the same questions of the guests every week, or that, yeah, we could explore a lot of different fronts there, and also multi-purposing some of the content.
Well, like my general feeling, and if someone else has some comments, please let me know. But my general feeling is, the content we do on this stream, Community Currency Now, it's very nerdy, and it's for other nerdy people, which is great. It meant we attracted all us nerds in here, which is a good thing, nerd, I would say, a term. But it's very hard for someone who is not familiar with the topic to really get into. Another thing is that we have not really been promoting them a lot, you know. What we do is we create a tweet, we put them in the channel. Sometimes I have been also putting them on other Telegram, Discord channels for other niche kind of crypto community currency channels. And that's about it. So I think there are many low-hanging fruits if you wanted to have more viewers. That's also, of course, like that's that we want. And there are also many low-hanging fruits if you wanted to make it more accessible for, say, some people who are perhaps into alternative economies, but they maybe are not big blockchain geeks or have worked in this space for 15 years. I don't know. Another thought I have is that I think this stream is kind of working. If we manage a way to get guests up kind of more automatically, it's kind of low effort. We have Griff volunteering his time. the whole setup, how we do the live streams are kind of automated now. So I just have seen often that, you know, you want to refactor something so much, and then in the end, you end up with something that's worse. And if you want more content, could also be you want to do another stream and not really like just like abandon what we have now. That's just some general thoughts, like from, and again, I don't have any data to back it up. It's just like my view on these things from how I've seen it.
I feel like this is a whole breakout discussion that goes in the comms call of identifying distribution mechanisms and an overall strategy. But I agree with you that it seems to be working, and at least for now, it's a really fantastic start. We've had amazing guests. So I think it's more of a breakout because it's a longer discussion and also deep diving into the analytics. And yeah, but I think, you know, first and foremost, we can at least make Julio's load a little lighter and get a little more process oriented with inviting guests. So I'm happy to take that on and get going on just a Google form.
All right. So I think you had one more point, Jessica. This was community engagement brainstorm. Would you also say that's a roundtable whole discussion or some ideas around that?
I'm not sure why. I guess the question was more oriented towards, yeah, I mean, at this point, we're still obviously identifying funding and we haven't even, you know, really gotten the comms stuff off the ground. So maybe we focus on that. But I'm just wondering in general, if we wanted to just think about in the short term, things, how we want to engage with the community, how can we make use of and share the best of all of the networks and the people and the value that's already there. So yeah, I think it's maybe a separate discussion, or maybe we can start a document or something and do that async. Just in general, I think it could be a good discussion and how we kind of interact with people now, and do we have any expectations or asks, and do we have anything even more so that we can give? Is there anything we can give to our community with what we have existing, and opportunities that may be low-hanging fruits that are more on the exchange level or?
Good question. I don't have a lot of great answers for that. Maybe someone else has some ideas.
Just so I can get on the same page as you guys. And sorry, I'm like in book writing mode, so time moves like in a glacial sort of pace. Are we going to have the Jessica? Were we supposed to have a call after this about this comm strategy, or do we need to organize that for another time?
I'm good for after this. Not sure about Gus and Julio.
I would be good too, but I don't think it's that necessary. I'm in there. It's more Julio, and I'm not sure if he is or not. I think he wrote he was, but he's not here right now. So that would be the only concern is Julio. But I mean, cool, from my point of view, if Jessica and you, Brett, you agree on what you want to do comms-wise, to me, that's where we want to get at, you know? So it could also just be, yeah. So should we just do that? And then I'm going to ping Julio, and if he's not there, I'm going to also join. If he's not there, we're going to basically say that's it, you know, and then we're going to agree on what's going to happen. Okay, super. So not many participants left. We have a few left. Theodora, Jeff, and Will, you have anything you want to add here before we close this call?
No, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think, you know, thinking about being sort of an information distribution group, you know, that's going to be focused much more on comms as their activity. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think that goes into like, well, at least my perception of what CCA was. It was like an information sharing kind of, you know, wiki-ish thing. And so I think a lot of the other stuff in terms of like making it into like I know everyone's looking for money and work and jobs and stuff like that, but it does feel like there's like a conflict of interest in a way around those two things. Not necessarily, but it just, it just seems awkward. I don't know exactly for me personally why I would attend the next call.
So you're saying our strength is communication, and you feel like we should not go into another direction, but you don't feel like it's providing value or any, like it's not helping your work what you're doing every day in Kenya at this point?
I mean that like if it's about comm stuff or like actually like spreading information and sharing information like that, that's wonderful. I'm happy to be part of that. But if it's going to be most of the call is about fundraising, it's just it's doing we all are trying to get funds, and to me that's not synergistic. It's more kind of more conflict of interesty to me.
Okay. So you think the Freiburg Institute research group and the cost is not relevant within our work in that sense? We should not help. Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't know in terms of that particular grant, but like, if this becomes just a grant seeking organization, it's, it's interesting. I run a grant seeking organization too, like it's just a matter of like, okay, if I, we get researchers here all the time, and if there's somebody who wants to talk about that access to data and research in terms of what we do, then I would just talk to them like I talk to dozens of other universities, right? Like I wouldn't need CCA to represent me in that. Does that make sense?
I think that definitely makes sense that there's no need for an like intermediary there or the like. But I do also think that a lot of researchers learned about grassroots economics now because they joined the group and they learned about now they can get some kind of funding for their work, while, for example, the cost academic things. So now maybe now they can have some kind of funding to research on grassroots economics, and that doesn't necessarily have to involve you. Maybe you will just talk with the researchers, but
sure. But that's the synergy of communications, right? Spreading information, and I think that's where we all win, right? For sure.
My understanding was also that, the grand vision was to have like a wiki or a library, and eventually maybe even a DApp or an app where communities could basically come to the center, look at various structures for what is it they want to optimize for, and what are the kind of qualities of their community, and what match could they find for a currency. Maybe they're more suited towards a mutual credit line. Maybe they would want something, with the bonding curve eventually after we model and build things. But kind of that this would be a center, a knowledge center as well, was my understanding. So maybe it's worth revisiting. I mean, these governance calls kind of get off because it's the only time we all meet together to talk about what do we need to do next. But maybe it's worth revisiting in the next governance call, the vision and kind of mission aspect, and revisiting the why and what are we doing, and just bring that back in so that we don't get off track.
Just one thing I'd say, I don't know if like this resonates to you right now, Will, because it probably sounds abstract, but I've been involved in, I've seen these various research projects around community currencies and stuff, but they're research projects, right? They're funded by somebody that done by academics. Whereas the energy that I see in, say, for example, the CCA Telegram group isn't that. It's not like an academic energy. It's actually almost like a political energy. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like excitement, like politicized excitement. So that's how most people are arriving here on some kind of like sense of intuition rather than like professional kind of seeking stuff. That's my feeling.
Okay, thanks.
If I can just say, like, this is just the second meeting I attend, so I mean, I follow the Telegram group, but this was the first time I wanted to be part of this call, just because to talk about this cost, but the cost is not. I mean, don't think that the cost is something from which you can get a stipend, but I actually just sent you, Will, all the detail by mail. So the cost is just to basically get the reimbursement if you want to organize workshop and conferences or training schools. So basically, you cannot provide any stipend. You cannot provide anything that you can from which you can survive, I don't know, for 4 years. So it's something that is thought to be, yeah, it's just a tool to create a network of researchers, and that is mainly from Europe. So that's why I thought that people from in the CCA world, there might be researchers interested in this, because yeah, it's just people who are already doing research can get some help if they want to organize workshop and conference on this topic, on this field. So yeah.
It makes sense, guys. Maybe it's just like like you said, a different topic. You know, like there's fundraising and research and comms and wiki. You know, right? Like that's all. I want to be. I'd rather be more on the comms side than the grant writing and whatnot side. That's all.
Okay. No, but thanks for bringing this up, Will. I think it's good to always question what are we doing, what should we be doing, what's our strength, and from someone like you representing grassroots economics, like, do you feel CCA, like, is it helping us, is it not helping us, and so forth? And that's something we're very interested in learning. So thanks a lot for bringing that up. I think I'm gonna close this call now. We're a bit over an hour, and then I'm gonna we're gonna have the call now. Jessica and Brett, the communication call, and one's gonna ping Julio, and then just left to say thanks a lot for today, and yeah, see you. Keep up the fight. Bye bye. See you.
You guys.